Insights channel here, Steve again. And right now I'm going to read to you again from a long chapter from my book Jubilees Insights, chapter 10, Demons and the Tower of Babel. But this time we'll actually get into the building of the Tower of Babel. This is from chapter 10 verse 19. And in the 30th Jubilee, Jubilee being 50 years, in the first year in the second week, Peleg, of course in the days of Peleg the earth was divided, so to speak. That happened after the Tower of Babel was destroyed. Peleg took to himself a wife, whose name was Lomna, the daughter of Sinai, and she bare him a son in the 4th year of the week, called his name Ru, for he said, Behold, the children of men have become evil through the wicked purpose of building for themselves a tower and a city in the land of Shinar. The word Shinar actually means the land of the giants. Comment 26. How could the peoples of the earth become evil through the wicked purpose of building for themselves a city and a tower in the land of Shinar? It had to do with the intent of them wanting to build the Tower of Babel, which was in defiance of God and in open rebellion against him. It was indeed the malignant spirits of the disembodied spirits of the giants, under Satan's command, that inspired those on the earth to build the Tower of Babel. And you will, if you read my books, Jubilees Insights and Jasher Insights, you'll see how big this tower really was. As it doesn't give the details in the Bible. It only talks a little bit about it in Genesis 11, chapter 11. Comment 27. Ru was born around 1800, was a great-grandfather of Abraham. He were married much younger than before the Great Flood, or around 30 years old. Okay, I won't get into that. Anyway, verse 20. For they departed from the land of Ararat, that's where the Noah's Ark came down, eastward to Shinar, the land of the giants. In his days they built the city and the tower, saying, Go to, let us ascend thereby into heaven. And they began to build, and in the 4th week they made brick and fire, and the bricks served them for stone, and clay with which they cemented them together was asphalt, comes out of the sea, out of the fountains of water in the land of Shinar. Yes, in the book of Jasher you will see, and you can see in my book Jasher Insights, that the intent of those building the Tower of Babel was to build a building so high that they would find a door into heaven, and they would be able to get in, throw God out, and place their own idols and take over that domain. Pretty stupid plan. As you know, it didn't work too well, as God came down and smashed it out of bits and confused all their languages, their one language, into many languages, scattered them to the ends of the earth. Not that demons and giants and fallen angels are any match for God and his angels. They are not. But they're very deluded into thinking they'll win the battle of good versus evil. The devil and his crowd need to take a very good and long look at the book of Revelation, or verse 12:7. Revelation 12:7. And it was war in heaven. Michael and his angels fought against the dragon, Satan, and the dragon fought and his angels, and prevailed not. Neither was their place found any more in heaven. Yes, I'll read this bit here. Comment 45 from chapter 10 of my book, Jubilees Insights. Is it just possible that the new after the flood giants, along with fallen man at Tower of Babel, thought they could reach a portal in the sky at a certain altitude, gotten into heaven? Because that's the way they were talking in the book of Jasher. See Jasher Insights. Perhaps they thought that somehow they'd gotten some fruit from the tree of life, that they might live forever. Being as twisted in mind as they indeed were, it would not surprise me at all. In modern times, portals have indeed been discovered in the air and in the sea, down into the ground and into the inner earth. No wonder God changed the lifespan of mankind at the time of the Great Flood to only 120 years. See what damage mankind had done before the Great Flood. when he lived up to 900 years old. Comment 46. Concerned the giants. Why was that important for them to reach into heaven? Because they themselves are not created by God, so that they were not fully human, but a hybrid of humans and fallen angels, therefore could not live forever. They were of Nephilim DNA, or Satan's seed. Neither could they find salvation through the Messiah, because salvation is only for humans. Comment 47. Many would state that the tree of life is supposed to be inside the Garden of Eden, which many also to believe to be inside the earth, or the inner earth. Look at the following verses from my book, Enoch Insights, chapter 25. Enoch 25:4. And as for this fragrant tree, talk about the tree of life, no mortal is permitted to touch it till the great judgment, when he should take vengeance on all and bring everything to its consummation forever, shall then be given to the righteous and holy. Talk about the tree of life. 25:5. Its fruit shall be for good to the elect, shall be transplanted to the holy place, for the temple of the Lord, eternal King. Well, time frame. The new heaven, new earth, after 1,000-year golden age of the millennium, or millennial rule of the Messiah and his saints. Revelation 22:2. In the midst of the street of it, either side of the river, was there the tree of life, which bare 12 manner of fruits, and yielded her fruit every month. And the leaves of the tree were for the healing of the nations. God certainly didn't want those at the Tower of Babel in their depraved state to gain the ability to live forever and be spreading their evil around, just like the fallen angels who also live forever. And so as God said above, let us go down there and confound their language, that they may not understand one another's speech. Well, these deluded fallen state peoples had no idea that their one language, which they all spoke, and was Hebrew by the way, language of creation, could be confused by God himself in just a moment of time, leave them helpless and forced to scatter all over the world, as could no longer understand each other's language. Verse 23. And the Lord descended, and we descended with him, to see the city and the tower which the children of men had built. And he confounded their language, and they no longer understood one another's speech. And he ceased then to build the city and the tower. And for this reason the whole land of Shinar is called Babel, because the Lord did there confound all the language of the children of men. From thence they were dispersed into their cities, each according to his language and his nation. Genesis 11:8 and 9. So the Lord scattered them abroad. From thence upon the face of all the earth they left off to build the city. Therefore is the name of it called Babel, because the Lord did there confound the language of all the earth. From thence did the Lord scatter them abroad upon the face of the earth. And the Lord sent a mighty wind against the tower, and overthrew it from the earth. This is verse 26, or chapter 10, verse 26. And behold, it was between Asher and Babylon in the land of Shinar, and he called its name Overthrow. Comment 50. What kind of a wind could blow down a mighty tower over 8,000 feet high? Obviously the wind must have been accompanied by earthquakes and land subsiding, causing the tower to collapse. Verse 27. In the 4th week in the 1st year, 1688 years after creation, or Anno Mundi, AM, Anno Mundi, years of the world, in the beginning thereof, in the 34th Jubilee, were they dispersed from the land of Shinar. Jasher 9:38. As to the tower which the sons of men built, the earth opened its mouth and swallowed up 1/3 part thereof. Fire also descended from heaven and burned another third. Another third is left to this day. It is that part which was aloft, and its circumstance is 3 days' walk. Not circumference, its circumference. It took 3 days to walk around the bottom of this tower. Wow. Verse 28. And Ham and his sons went into the land which he was to occupy, which he acquired as his portion in the land of the south. And Canaan saw the land of Lebanon to the river Egypt was very good, and he went not into the land of his inheritance to the west, that is to the sea. He dwelt in the land of Lebanon, eastward and westward from the border of Jordan and the border of the sea. This is an important point, comment 52. In time, as it shows Canaan going against what Noah had originally told his sons when he divided up the lands, and Canaan forcibly took over the lands and was supposed to go to Shem, Shem's descendants. 31. Dwell not in the dwelling of Shem, for to Shem and to his sons did it come by their lot. Cursed art thou, and cursed shalt thou be, beyond all the sons of Noah, by the curse by which we bound ourselves. But he didn't hearken unto them, and he dwelt in the land of Lebanon. Of course, it caused a lot of trouble later. All his descendants, the Canaanites there in the land, eventually got driven out by Abraham's descendants, and by Moses, and by Jasher, and the children of Israel. Wow. Comment 53. This well explains why the descendants of Canaan were cursed, and the Canaanites actually became the new giants in the land. The Canaanites somehow gained Nephilim DNA as before the great flood, and giants were born unto their women. Wow. Verse 34. And for this reason the land is named Canaan. And Japheth and his sons went towards the sea, dwelt in the land of their portion. And Madai saw the land of the sea, it did not please him, and he begged a portion from Ham and Asher and Arphaxad, his wife's brother. Right. Yes, I would suggest for more interesting details, see my book, Jasher Insights. I'll read you directly from that book sometime. Comparison of the Tower of Babel with the Twin Towers. Recapping on what we talked about above. One wall of the Tower of Babel is stated in the above verses 30 states. This would equal 30 times 600 feet equal 18,000 feet. One of the other walls with 13 states. This equals 13 times 600, 7,800 feet long. Why build a tower with one of the walls as 18,000 feet wide, so over 3 miles wide? Even the lesser wall was around 8,000 feet wide. The height was around 10,000 feet high. If one was to compare the dimensions of the Twin Towers with the Tower of Babel, we come up with some remarkable facts. The Twin Towers were over 400 meters high, or around 1,400 feet high. The base of the Twin Towers was around 60 meters by 30 meters, or 200 feet by 100 feet. The base times breadth times ratio was 2 to 1.4. Yeah. The base or height ratio of Tower of Babel, on the other hand, was about 2 to 1 to 2. And so the comparison of the Twin Towers is more like 2 to 1 to 14. Right, in size, the height being the 14 comparison to the width and the length, right? But the Tower of Babel was 2 to 1 to 2, so it was more like compact, and yet it was still 10,000 feet high. In other words, the Tower of Babel was built with such gargantuan stone blocks of up to 90 feet long, 20 feet high, 30 feet wide. Unbelievable. And it could have been at least 10 times higher as compared to the Twin Towers. The base of the wall of the Twin Towers was only 200 feet. The base of the wall of Babel was 18,000 feet. What were they trying to do with that tower? It seems to me they were trying to build something much higher. They stopped short of what they were trying to build. They were trying to get very high up in the sky, or far above the clouds. They were trying to reach a point in the sky. Apparently they said they were trying to find a portal to get into heaven and shut God out and put themselves up there. That was the plan. But as you know, it did not work. Well, here's a bit more information here to finish off. This is comment 57, but like I said, this chapter is very long. You need to get my book to read this whole chapter here. I'm just reading you snippets from the chapter. More conclusions concerning the Tower of Babel. My personal opinion concerning the Tower of Babel is the following. A lot more than Nimrod and 700,000 human slaves and giants were involved in building the tower. They were up to something much more important than just building a tower to reach the sky. Well, what exactly? Let's consider the following. 1. God had wiped out the pre-flood giants and humans by a great flood. 2. The dead giants came back by becoming the disembodied spirits of the giants, or better today known as demons. 3. After the flood, these demonic spirits started to plague mankind and bring sickness. 4. The demons wanted revenge for having been locked up in the negative spirit world inside the earth, but in a lower dimension. 5. The only way to come back to the earth was to possess both people, but better still, possess something God hadn't created, like a chimera, a creature the gods simply had not made. This had been common practice before the Great Flood. 6. It stated that Nimrod the king was becoming a giant. Yeah, you can see that in the Septuagint version of the Bible. It was becoming a giant. I talk a lot about that in the place, how that happens exactly. How we are not told, except that it could have been in his DNA, was initially dormant when he was young, but made itself manifest when he was an adult. 7. According to the books of Jasher and Jubilees, as well as the Bible, those in charge of building the Tower of Babel wanted to ascend into heaven and replace God, wanted to put their idols in heaven there instead. They also wanted to kill all the hosts of heaven. Obviously, these disembodied malignant spirits of the giants wanted revenge for them being forcibly locked up in the under-earth, or hell, and sought a new location, and these are the heavenly realms. 8. When Nimrod, who was a descendant of Ham, came onto the scene, the disembodied spirits of giants had their chance, as they possessed the descendants of Ham, and again new generations of giants were born in the land of Canaan. 9. Now the giants were back in the physical plane. They are now seeking for a way to get into the heavenly dimensions. They somehow thought that if they could build a tower high enough, they would reach heaven and kick God out. No, that sounds very stupid to us in modern times, but is it? Perhaps, and almost certainly, the giants knew about the portals as mentioned in the book of Enoch. 10. And looking at the dimensions described in the book of Jubilees of the Tower of Babel, where the base was 18,000 feet across, around 8,000 feet wide, around 10,000 feet high, with a base that big, the Tower of Babel could have been constructed to end up being very much higher. How high did the builders want to go, or should I say get to? That's a mystery. Perhaps there is a portal at a certain height in the sky over the land of Shinar, which is in northern Iraq, not far from where the original fallen angels came down onto Mount Hermon before the Great Flood, and cohabitated with the women on the earth, the human women, and start having giants for sons. 11. Comparing land area used to build the Tower of Babel to modern cities around the world today. New York City metro area is about 5,400 square miles. Tokyo is around 4,000 square miles. Wow. The Tower of Babel is about 225 miles in circumference, so that would make it around 4,000 odd square miles. The big difference is that the modern cities are spread out much more laterally than built vertically, while the Tower of Babel was one massive tower that could have been as high as 11,000 feet, or 10 times higher than the highest buildings on earth today. It went straight up to far above the clouds. 12. Many portals have been detected in modern times, and some have been detected in the skies. Spiral portal in Norway comes to mind. 13. Fortunately, God and his angels came down and ruined the plans of the giants. I believe the giants were mostly killed off, and the humans dispersed all over the planet as God confused their tongues and languages. Well, that's a little tiny taste of chapter 10 in my book Jubilees Insights, which I call Demons and Tower of Babel. But there's so much more in this chapter. It's how long is it? It's like 20 pages long, just this chapter, and I've only read you little tiny bits. Anyway, please do get my book Jubilees Insights, and with that I'd say Jasher Insights too. If you want to know the story of the Tower of Babel, another interesting story of the giants from the Bible, these books, Jubilees Insights and Jasher Insights, they really bring it out, the story, and a complete story. Well, thanks for listening. Bye for now.